Alright, in this video I will be showing you how to use QM for Windows to find the information regarding project management. And on this first slide you're going to be seeing a project from start to finish, and start here on the left side, finish on the right, and the different tasks required are presented in a flowchart form, and as you can see, the task listed from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, they have different processes. Okay, for example, A and B can start separately, and then they will converge later on, and certain tasks, depending on certain tasks completed beforehand. Okay, so this flowchart kind of gives you an idea of what goes before what and what comes after. To use QM for Windows to calculate the information requiring time required for project management, you will go into the project management module under QM for Windows, and then under New we will be using single time estimates. And the first thing you need to do for the setting is to specify how many tasks there are for this particular project. Okay, and if you count up all the squares in the flowchart between start to finish, there were 8 tasks. Okay, and the structure for the table that we'll be using is what's called a precedence list. Okay, and then once you click on OK, and what you see is a data entry table that consists of the 8 tasks you need to complete the project, and under each task you'll be specifying the activity time as well as the precedence. And by precedence, it means that what tasks need to be completed before this task can begin. So for example, for A and B, they both have activity times of their own without precedence, which means that they can start by themselves. Task C has activity time of 2, but it has a precedence of A, which means that C cannot begin until A is completed. And for D, same idea. Okay, D cannot begin until B is completed. And for E and F, both of them cannot complete, or they cannot begin until C is completed. And for G and H, they required the completion of 2 tasks before they can begin. G needs to have D and E finished, and H requires F and G finished. And once you enter this information in, you will click on the Solve button, and what you'll see, the first thing on the first line, is the total amount of time that this project requires. It's going to be 15. Could be 15 weeks, 15 months, depending on the unit of measurement. And what you'll also see are the early start times for each task, the early finish time, as well as the late start time and late finish time. And from these times we can see the slack time, and for slack times of 0, it means that there is no room for delay. One task needs to complete and the other needs to begin immediately. For the task with a slack time of more than 0, for example, task B has a slack time of 1, and so is D. Okay, it means that there is 1 week of flexibility to get this task started. And task F has the most slack time at 6. Additionally, if you click on one of the optional charts, you can see the critical path, And in this case, the critical path is A, C, E, G, and H. And all this means is that there is no room for any flexibility in this chain of tasks. One needs to finish and the other need to begin immediately, and if there's any delay, it would delay the entire project. Now, in a different kind of calculation, we can not only calculate the number of weeks or the amount of time required for a project, but we can also look at the cost. And in this case, when cost is associated, we can look at the cost budgeting option. And in this case, we are still entering the number of tasks as well as selecting precedence list. But additionally, we'll be entering the cost for each task. So each task has an activity time as well as an activity cost, and also the precedence for each task if there's any. Now, in this presentation, you're also given the entire project time required, as well as early start, early finish, late start, late finish, as well as the slack time. The information here is the same. It's from the same example. However, we added the information for activity cost, and this way we can look at how much cost is incurred after each task. And in this case, you see that for the early start budget, if you're following the early start schedule for each period or each week, each month, depending on the unit of your measurements, you will see the expense incurred for each task, or for each period, I should say, and also cumulative from the start. So if you need to know how much of the total budget is incurred by a certain period, you'll be looking at the bottom number, the budget that has accumulated from the beginning. And that's the conclusion of this presentation.